Hello and welcome to Coffee with Dr. Carla. I'm Dr. Carla. This is Jacquelyn, and we are very glad that you are here today with us. We're going to talk about some mental health related issues and hopefully start to end the stigma surrounding them. So, I know that you have a lived experience around homelessness and the need to be homeless. I know that most people don't sign up to be homeless, but sometimes it's part of a transition, a needed part of it, unfortunately, when life just gets a little too crazy. And from that, you have founded the South Suburban Joy Emporium. So perhaps, kind of share how, from getting back on your feet to today, I guess, or when you decided to pursue a non-for-profit.
I'm excited to share this.
This is the fun part of the story.
This is the fun part of the story, yeah. So I shared a while back a little bit about, my transition from happy family to my parents getting divorced, me kind of trying to do it all on my own, and going through my own midlife crisis at age 19.
Thank God that was not the mid of your life.
Thank God, yes.
Yeah.
And kind of choosing to be homeless for a period there to get away from some volatility, rebuild my own strength, and put myself back out there, and get back on my feet. I actually had always had a dream of opening a community center, probably since I was a kid. I grew up in New Mexico. My dad was very much into community service and helping out your neighbor, and we grew up on a ranch where you would have flooding come in, and it was everybody taking care of everybody. Gotta get the horses in, gotta get all the hay up, gotta do this, and it was the whole neighborhood took care of each other. And I've always kept that mentality, even moving here, and have always wanted to do something for the community. And going through the different experiences growing up, my parents were, I'd say, middle class, but they didn't show it. My parents pretended they were very poor, I think, a lot. And so I grew up with that mentality of we don't have enough. We have to work for everything. And that was a good strategy they had there. But it built me that way too, that I have to work for everything. I don't ask for handouts, don't ask for help, which I still think could have maybe swayed that message a little bit, but it again just kept building this idea in me of we need to build a better support system for our neighbors, for our families, for our friends. Nobody does it alone. Nobody gets out alive. We all need help to get through this.
And that's so true, and yet there's such a big stigma around asking for help. Yeah. If you ask for help, you're weak. Yeah. The reality is when you ask for help, that shows strength.
Yes.
And so that stigma just,
it's
so hard to break that stigma.
I went back to school for business, and actually I went back I was going to open a restaurant with my dad. And he was retiring from social work and wanted to get back into catering, something he did right out of college in his earlier 20s. And I had been working in hospitality for years. I've always wanted to do that myself, so I went back to Moraine Valley, started taking classes for restaurant management. One semester, and Dad said, never mind, I'm just going to retire. So
You're like,
yeah. All right, we'll just pick a whole new path here. I really enjoyed marketing. I actually had worked in marketing when I was agoraphobic. It was the one thing I could do from home from my computer. Thank God we had internet and AOL and dial-up at the time. And I was able to do MySpace pages for businesses and
MySpace, that's a long, okay.
So I was able to make some income, at least, doing that back in the day. But I always had this marketing mind. I worked for the YMCA and right out of high school, and volunteered with their homeless outreach programs there. Their head of marketing was amazing. I loved her. I would help her create flyers and all sorts of things and market different fundraisers we had, and that just seemed like the avenue for me. So
right.
started going to school for marketing and had so many mentors throughout high school, throughout my time at the YMCA, throughout college, that really again helped me get back on my feet, helped me shape my mentality, my mindset around getting over all of those stigmas of asking for help. I think I shared a story recently, my high school days. I was a straight A student. There was a period I started failing my classes when my parents were getting divorced.
Right.
And I just had this OCD that everything had to be perfect, and I wouldn't turn my paperwork in unless it was all completed. I could have 1 or 2 wrong answers and not turn anything in, and my grades started suffering because of it. I had this mentality that everything has to be perfect before you start, before you do things, before you do anything. And having mentors and having so many people just tell me, no, you don't have to be perfect. Just get something out there. Just start going towards your dreams.
I mean, that is so far away from where I know you to be at.
Yeah.
Right? And you have no problem asking for help
No.
in areas you need now, right? Which is awesome. But it's interesting how that, how things shift.
Yes, and it took a lot of mentors coming into my life, pouring into me to get me to realize that it really is about a team effort. We gotta lift each other up.
Mm-hmm.
We gotta help each other. And we need to start removing that stigma of mental health and asking for help, and realizing that, everybody's going through something. This person might seem perfect. It might seem like they have it all together. It might seem like people tell me this all the time. You look like, you're crushing it in real estate. You're crushing it with this nonprofit you're running now, and you're so busy, and you've got all these great things going on. Nothing's ever perfect. We're always battling something. There's always fires to put out.
And if you're not now, you will be soon.
Exactly.
Right.
Today might be a great day. Tomorrow could be a whole other storm.
Exactly.
Yeah. So always keeping those avenues open to be able to accept help too. Like I said, I was in a position in my early 20s where I probably wouldn't have accepted help had people
even reached out
thrown
and
it
said,
in my, right. Yeah. Because again, I just felt like a burden. Now working with Joy Emporium, I come across people who will go through their entire savings before asking for help. They think I can figure this out on my own, and maybe they were raised the same way, to just not ask for help, figure it out.
Or maybe they did ask for help at one point and somebody decided to shame them.
Yeah.
Like that's going to help them pay the mortgage.
Right.
If I tell
That's
you
a
that
huge
you're
thing.
not good enough, that
Mhm.
somehow the money will fall out of the trees and land in your lap. Like
Or
that's
that
just
you
ridiculous.
should have done this way. The shoulda, shouldas.
Oh, the shouldas. Yeah, not good.
Right. And again, just had you been able to get over that and just ask for help up front when the issue occurred, and had not let it spiral into the mess that it became, just how much further people would have gotten in their own lives.
Right. I mean, is it a guarantee?
No.
Nothing's a
Right.
guarantee. But the likelihood of things maybe not getting as bad, or maybe turning around a little bit sooner, or maybe in a different way,
Right.
are definitely there. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Definitely never thought I would have landed homeless. Even at a young age, I was straight A's, ahead of the class, very athletic, mostly used to succeed. I was in track and swimming and all sorts of things, and people now, especially because I'm, have my stuff together, as they say, a bit more, I guess. People, when I share this side of my story with them, they're always very shocked. And
Yeah.
I say, why? Have you not ever been through anything? Like, everybody's
Right.
been through something, and I'm
Right.
sure a lot of people, things that they just haven't even mentioned or shared.
So maybe it's not homelessness, but there's plenty.
Right.
Yeah, people are
Family
honest.
issues. We've all got family issues. And that's another really common thing that people aren't discussing enough. Right now I'm dealing with a father who's going through, a touch of dementia, And this is becoming so common right now. Almost every day I run into somebody new whose father or mother or somebody in their life is, you know, dealing with dementia. And it's a
Yep.
really, really hard thing. And when my father first started battling this, it was kind of put on me to help him out. And, you know, my sister was there for moral support. My brother tried. We're all trying, but it's a very, very hard thing to go through.
Yes, it is.
And you need a whole family support system.
Yes, you do.
Need more than that. You need your friends. You need, you know, the community to be in your corner for that, because
And there's a lot of
it's hard.
stigma, because my mother also had dementia, and we went through a lot with her. There was a lot of stigma on what my dad chose to do or not do,
Mhm.
how he chose. I mean, he reached out and got help. I mean, he was good about that, but you know, he had such a hard time, you know, with deciding whether or not she should go into a memory care facility. You know, even to the point where he didn't sleep for almost a month because of, you know, her nighttime shenanigans. You know,
Yep.
and there's so, man, family would just badmouth him for not doing it, and then when he finally did it, the same people badmouth him for doing it. You're like,
Mhm.
okay, which way is it?
Right.
Am I wrong for doing it or wrong for not doing it? And so, yeah, the stigma is
And
crazy.
unless you're the one in those shoes, in that situation, every
took 'em-
situation's different.
It took him 2 years to finally decide to do it.
Yeah.
How we got there was not the best way, but we did get there. But she had already shown signs of dementia for 4 or 5 years prior to that.
Yeah.
So, you know,
And people hide it, and, you know, my father still doesn't want to talk about it. I think most of the time he doesn't even realize that he's getting
yeah,
it.
she didn't have a clue.
Yeah.
She didn't have a clue. Yeah, so that was hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, so now we get to the point where, I mean, wanting to be involved in the community, then actually, I guess, putting your money where your mouth is,
Yeah.
or, you know.
So I was working at Keller Williams in Orland Park, Keller Williams Preferred, and I have an amazing team there of agents who are extremely supportive about helping you reach your goals, whatever they may be. And in the leadership there, we talked very deeply about our big whys and why we're doing what we're doing. When I first got into real estate, I figured I need to start making more money because mom's getting up to that age. Gonna have to start taking care of the parents, gonna have to start, you know, putting some extra aside for that. And during COVID, my uncle passed away. Left a little bit to mom, so I didn't have to worry so much. And it was my leadership that actually came back in and said, well, now you're not supporting mom, what's your big why? And I said, well, I've always wanted to start this charity, and I don't have kids, I don't have anything else. This is really my passion, and I've volunteered my whole life, and I just really want something here in the south suburbs. I've done a lot in the city. I've done a lot, you know, in the homeless camps around the city, but I know there are homeless camps here in the south suburbs and the forest preserves and all over, and it's a problem here that's not being addressed.
I agree.
So
Yeah, there's a bit of a desert for some of these types of things.
yeah. So there's
And
a huge
the few
need.
that do exist are at capacity.
Right.
Right.
They're
So
full. A lot of the shelters are full, and even some of the smaller kind of grassroots efforts like we're growing pretty fast now due to the need, you know.
yeah, that's the hard part.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the hard part. And so, if someone were to come to the Joy Emporium, what would they find? Well,
So
what the vision of it? Still got a little work to do, but yeah.
we have an array of different services we offer. So if they were to come to us today, we could help connect them with support, you know, a ton of support. So whether they're experiencing financial hardship, homelessness, we can help connect them with resources, help them with resumes, job placement, getting connected with any kind of financial assistance they may qualify for.
Right.
If they need counseling,
Yeah.
we can definitely help them with that. We also have a furniture pantry, a clothing pantry, food pantry, so we can get you connected with physical items as well if needed, and tons of volunteer opportunities. So opportunities to meet people in the community, make some more friends, build your support system, and get involved, give yourself a purpose.
Right.
I always say, you know, my biggest reason for volunteering is completely selfish. It gives me purpose. It makes me feel good about getting up in the morning. So we try to create as many volunteer opportunities for others as well.
That's awesome. If there's, I don't know, it might be very hard to narrow it down, but if there's one thing you wish people would keep in mind when it comes to asking for help or any of the types of things that, you know, you're trying to do at the Joy Emporium, like what's that one thing you would like people to remember?
There's no shame. Just no shame.
Right.
Just let it go. Just let that go. The second you start letting that melt away and you just start talking about who you are and the experiences you have, those experiences will no longer hold any
Power
yep. over you, and you just let that all melt away, and you feel like a whole new person.
Yeah, shame
is like
is not a useful thing to feel. That's for sure, and that is probably one of the biggest stigmas that surround anything around mental health, but especially in a place where you're in need of, where there's scarcity in your life. You know, you should not feel ashamed about that, and yet our society does a number on people. So thank you for sharing that. So remember, you can change your thoughts, discover your potential, and transform your life by focusing on your overall well-being. So until next time, continue working and being the best you possible.